Well guys, welcome to part 9. It is golden time. Alright, so it's a kind of a hazy morning out here. Got a little bit of cloud cover, so we're probably going to get some rain again. We got a little bit last night. These guys have reduced down quite a bit since yesterday. This one's down to about 3,600. So we've got about 600 more to take out of there. These two combined are down to about a little less than 800. So we got about halfway to go here. Early this morning I added this last bit of this to this one. So we've got 6 and about 8, 13, about 1,350 mils there. So we got to take that at least half or a little bit better. This table is working out pretty good. It does get pretty hot, but not enough to get them to boil, which is exactly what I want to do. In most of these we have some sediment. I'm sure you can see this over on this side. And in these we have some sediment. So what I'm going to do probably is filter these off before we mix our regular stuff in it. I'm going to filter them. I'm going to then mix all of our gold together, or our solutions together that need to be together. Then I'm going to drop whatever I can, whatever junk I can drop out with some sulfamic acid. I'm going to filter it again, and then we will start dropping some gold. And in the meantime, we are going to get this working, and we are going to get this working. So we've got some a few things to do to get set up. I got to straighten this bench out a little bit, but we'll be right back in just a bit as soon as I get this cleaned up and squared away. I haven't decided. This is going to be, I mean, a bit over, probably somewhere around 5,200 mils by the time we mix our reduced juice with it. So I don't really like dropping in plastic, but I don't want to, fill up 5 different jars, to drop it with jars. So I haven't decided how I'm going to do this yet. I may have to mix it together in a bucket and then split it back between these 2 flasks. Because like I said, I really, you can drop in a bucket or a fairly good pan, but when you don't use, if you're going to constantly do it so you have a bucket just for that, and then when you're done with that bucket you can burn it or do whatever you're going to do to, because actually if there's scratches or anything in it, fine particles of gold do get stuck in it. So when I do drop it in a bucket, like if I'm doing something bigger than this, which I have done in the past, I try to use a new bucket, but sometimes you can't. So I haven't exactly decided what I'm going to do yet. I may just mix those 2 together in a bucket and then split them back and drop them in the glass. So anyway, we'll wait till time. We're not going to be getting to that for another day or so, because it's going to take at least that long for these to, for these to get down where we need them. We need this one at least down to here. So we have come from about right here. So it's slow but sure. Alright, I'm going to shut up and get set up, and we're going to start working on these foils. Okay guys, I am just evaporating off this little bit of water that was in here. I'm just going to get rid of that, and then we're going to put some hydrochloric acid in there, and some nitric acid, and make a little bit of AR, and get this on the road. So we actually may get to drop both of these today. I'm not going to get to melt them today, but it'll be in this video because I like to leave it sit overnight. But possibly this evening I can do it. It just depends on how well they drop. So I'm going to just continue evaporating this off, and then we're going to get it ready to go. Okay guys, we got most of our water out of here. There may still be a little bit, but it's not going to be of any consequence. I'm going to go ahead and put some hydrochloric acid in here. Put enough in here to cover this. Boy, they talk about nitric being bad. The fumes from this crap are a hell of a lot worse as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to back up for a second. Turn this back fan up a little more. Okay, so that's taking care of that. All you need is a slight breeze, and with this weather we've been having, I mean, this is the first year I've really had a problem. It's been blowing in like this, or just a slight breeze. But hey, you got to take the good with the bad, right? So anyhow, it looks like I got all that off. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a little bit more in here because I just want to make sure I've got enough to push that filter down. That ought to do it. Okay, we're going to add a couple pipettes of nitric acid, and we're going to get to work on this. I'm anxious to see what these yield. Getting an instant reaction. That's about 6 mils of nitric. I'm going to let it go at that for now. We'll just see what takes place. Now that was probably a little bit warmer than ambient temperature because of the, because we just heated it up. But this ought to, and keep a close eye on it. I don't want this boiling over. In fact, I'm going to get a just-in-case pan. If I see that start to go bonkers, I'm going to just pick it up and set it in this pan. I'm getting a good reaction. I'll let you guys watch that for a bit. Let me see if I can zoom it in for you a little. Hopefully there wasn't too much copper left on any of that stuff, and we get a nice golden juice. Okay guys, this is just going to do this. There's no point in making you sit here and watch it. So when it changes up a little bit or looks a little bit different, or we get rid of some of that gold in the solution, I'll pop back in and show you. Okay guys, several minutes has passed, and our reaction's slowing a little bit from that initial perk up. As you can see, I put the pan under it. I just don't want to take any chances. There's too much gold in there. I'm going to go ahead and put a couple more drops of nitric in it, see if we can perk it back up. And we'll go from there. Put about 6 or 8 drops in there, and we'll see how much that perks it up. bring it back to life a little. Yeah, that perked it up a bit. I think you guys can still see it. Let me bring you in just a hair. So that livened things up a bit, so we're just going to continue to let it go. And you've seen this a million times. I think I'm going to just go ahead and let this do its thing till it's almost done. And then we'll come back in and then we'll get started on these bad boys. Okay, our finger foils are still working. I'm going to add another few drops of nitric to it because it's slowing way down again, and I did put a tiny bit of heat on it. Now I've got this one set. I'm going to go ahead and get some hydrochloric in there, and we might as well get these both going at the same time instead of just watching one and then watching the other one. So let me grab the acid and put a little bit in here, and put some nitric in it, and I'm going to put a little more nitric in that one. And as you can see, I'm using a coffee pot as a catch container for this one. Again, we got a lot of gold here, and I really don't want to take any chances. I should have done it right from the beginning. Normally I do when it's not my material, but I wanted to be able to see that on camera too, because it's hard to see it when it's in pan. So let's go ahead and put a pipette or so in this one, get it rolling, and then we'll put a little more in the back one. We'll start with one here. Put a few more drops in this one, and the rest of that in here. So we will see what goes, see what happens. That perked this one up again. Stir it around a little. And we are getting color right away with that one too. So, alright guys, we're going to let these go, and I'll just get back up with you in a little bit. Okay guys, we are getting down to the nitty gritty. We still got quite a bit of foils left in here. These bad boys are just about gone. So they should finish up with what nitric is in there. I might have to add again a little bit to this. I'm just taking this one slow, and I don't necessarily need a super fast reaction. Nitric acid, I know the past several videos I haven't brought up cost or anything, but nitric acid is probably one of the most expensive things that we use when we're doing this stuff. The only other thing I can think of that's even going to be, more expensive or more costly to use is when you're doing palladium, which I do very little of or almost none of, and I don't do palladium for other people at all. But if you're using DMG to drop the palladium, I think it's dimethylgloxine, I think is how, or gloxine or whatever. I'm not sure exactly of the pronunciation, but that stuff's a little expensive, and it's also a little hard to come by. I think the last time I got it, I actually got it from somewhere overseas. I think it was from Russia, if I'm not mistaken. Nice place to have gotten it from, right? But anyway, I'm sure the people over there aren't any happier than we are or anybody else. So anyway, again, political, I'm not going there. Like I said, these are almost done. I'm going to put a little more nitric in that back one because we still have a nice little bunch of foils in there. And we also had our cotton wad in there plus our paper. our 103 filter paper. So I'll go ahead and do that. In fact, I'll do it right now, and we'll see if it kicks it up while you're here. And we're getting real close to getting ready to be able to filter both of these. Go ahead and put that whole pipette in. I think we can use it. There is still quite a bit of gold in there, gold foils. Okay guys, I'm going to let this stuff do its thing and we'll be back. That one's just about gone. There's some just little bitty stuff in the bottom. Alright, we'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, this bad boy I believe is done. I just put a little bit of heat to it. I'm not seeing any more reaction other than a few little bubbles from the heat. We're still getting some little bit of reaction in this one from the processor caps. Mainly what that's from is the actually some of the little bits of ceramic broke off, and they stuck to the plates and stuck to the gold. So that gold was kind of, you know, wrapped up inside that, between the ceramic, you know, and the metal, and so it just took a little bit longer to dissolve off, but it is just about done. I mean, I just put a little more nitric in it. It didn't increase any reaction, so I'm thinking that we are just about there on this one. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let both of these sit for about another half hour, an hour. I have put a little bit of heat on both of them. I just shut this one off. So I'm going to let them cool off a little bit and then get them ready to filter. So probably do this one first, being that that one's still having a little bit of reaction. And so we'll get back at you when we're getting set up to filter this guy out. Okay everybody, we are ready to start filtering this. I'm not seeing any more reaction. I actually let it sit for about an hour. Make sure nothing's going on. Do a little poking around for a second. I want to be sure that this is ready to go. Sometimes this cotton, when it's in here, it makes it hard to tell, because the cotton will hold some of the stuff. So you got to kind of fluff it up a little bit, make sure you're not going to get any more reaction. Alright, I'm not seeing anything. I want to make sure I'm using distilled water. Okay. And we have about 400 mils in here, so it should be a hair less. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and get started doing this. We are going to vacuum filter it because of that cotton and that filter paper that's in there. And this is a 103 filter paper, the ones I like using. Pan anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and hook up our vacuum pump and get to filtering. Pretty rich looking solution there, so I'm happy about that. Looks like it's coming off pretty clean. like to try and keep any of the junk last. That way we don't spend extra time filtering the easy stuff. If you just go ahead and pour that all in there, then you're going to be filtering through that cotton, through that other filter, and it's going to take twice as long. But even with that, without that in there, still with that 103, it doesn't go like lightning. I mean, that thing catches a lot of crap. Color is beautiful. Okay guys, we've got probably a good another 20 minutes of this between filtering it out and cleaning out that cotton and that other thing, and then just making sure we've got all our gold in there. I'm going to go ahead and pause for right now. When we're ready to start getting ready to set it up for the drop, I'll be back. Okay guys, we are actually warming this up to denox it. Then we're going to finish filtering off our other one, and we're going to get these boogers dropped today. So I got to let this warm up, then I'm going to denox it, which you've seen me do, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other one, and we're going to drop some gold. Okay guys, we're going to start denoxing, just a very little bit at a time because I got this pretty warm. And then we're going to filter this again. Nice and slow because our beaker is pretty full. And if we dump too much of this in at one time, we are going to have some trouble again. We don't have too much nitric in here because we're not getting a big reaction, so and I'm not seeing anything come out, so I think we got it. I think we'll be able to just drop this. We're going to do a second refine on most everything anyway, but this looks droppable just like it is. Not seeing any white powder form at all. But being that it's so full, I am going to make sure it's really good and denoxed, because that SMB will boil it over too if you're not careful. I could have used urea on this one because I don't believe we had too much, if any, lead contamination, and from what I'm seeing, we didn't have any. So anyway, I'm going to keep this going like this, then we're going to get it back over here and get it dropped. So let me move the camera and we'll get right back at you. Okay guys, I'm going to go slow because I don't know, you know, I sometimes this goes pretty easy and sometimes it blows up pretty good too though. So we are going to go ahead and do our second drop of this refine. That's why I like using urea. Every time I do this with sulfamic acid, or not every time, but a lot of times I get this heavy reaction from the SMB, and I don't really care for that so much. And you saw how much sulfamic acid we put in this. We are getting a good drop. Oh, that stuff smells like pickled eggs sometimes. Okay guys, I can see some gold forming up already. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off so I can back away from it. So we will be back in a bit. Okay guys, there is our second drop of this refine. This is the finger foils. It looks like it's dropping out pretty good. We've already got a good separation line there. So I'm going to take a break for a few minutes, grab me a Coca-Cola, and I'll be back out to do this other batch. Okay guys, I'm warming up. This is our foils, our solution from our foils off of the processor caps, backs, caps, tops, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to just denox this one right in here and just filter it once, because it's really all that's in there is the ceramic, you know, the little pieces of ceramic crap that were stuck on there, and some other just loose, probably paper and stuff like that. So I'm going to warm this one up. I'm going to denox it. I think I'm actually going to use urea on this one because I don't think we have any, well, I don't know, we may have a little bit of lead contamination off of the solder that came off of the ceramic. So I'll go ahead and do this one with sulfamic acid as well, and then we'll filter it and we'll drop this one. So we'll be back in just a bit. Alright guys, this is our foils from our caps or backs or whatever you want to call them. We're going to go ahead and drop that now. I spared you the boringness of filtering it out and getting it ready to go. We have our other drop up there that's clearing up really nice, so let's telling me that we got some good pure gold. I'll show you that in just a minute as soon as we drop this. Once again, sulfamic acid has its advantages as far as denoxing. One thing, I mean, I don't hear anybody ever mention about urea is when you put urea in with the nitric acid, there is a distinct possibility of an explosion. So, although rare, it can happen. Most of the time, it's more if you let it dry out or whatever. But well, I guess once in a blue moon, it can actually happen in the liquid. So there are advantages to sulfamic acid. I just don't like the reaction I get with the SMB with it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hit this one. We can hit it hard as well. This is not as much, so we're probably not going to have to worry as much about getting that foam. And there's our switch and our drop. I love it when it goes over white like that. Alright, I'm actually going to put a little bit more just to be safe. We should have nothing in here basically but gold. So we got another good drop. I'm happy with that. Apparently either I didn't have enough water or I could have put more water in our first drop to avoid that foaming of the SMB. But that's what I mean. I'm used to using urea. I mean, I'm using it this time because I do want to get rid of any other contamination as much as I can. But there we go. That's our drop. I'm going to set it up on the shelf and we'll be back. I actually have to change the battery out of this thing before it croaks on me. So we'll be back in a little bit. Well guys, unfortunately, I think my rigged little vacuum pump has finally bit the big green one. I just noticed when I pulled my little plug out of here a while ago, I was dangerously close to blowing some oil back into my solution. So needless to say, this little booger is going to have to be a goner. Fortunately, a while back when that one broke and I actually hooked it up to this motor, I took the guts out of it, took everything out of it, just left the rod chamber, and I put a pulley on it back here so that I could run it with this motor, because it was actually the motor that went bad in this. Like I said, I went ahead and I bought a backup then. So I do still have a vacuum pump, but I figured I might as well use this one because I can leave it out here. I didn't care if it got dirty or nasty. So I'm going to have to build some kind of a case or something for this, because actually the reason that one went bad was because of the acid fumes and everything else. So anyway, we do have one still, so we're not totally goofed, but that would have been really bad. I mean, I'm holding the camera, so let me pull this off. But yeah, if you look, I've already wiped it off though, but you can still see there's actually oil coming through. So I'm gonna have to take my little quick connector thing off and clean it and soak it in Dawn or some kind of dish detergent, and basically say goodbye to this. This motor's still good. Now if I can find a use for it, probably could use a good cleaning. But alright guys, I just wanted to update you on that. I'll show you our drops and then we're going in for the night. So I scooted that one over. That is our fingers. This is our caps. So both of them look pretty good. They look nice and clean. So we'll let these sit overnight, then we'll check them with some Stannis in the morning. And if they are good to go, we will melt these boogers. And not going to tell you what we got though. So we'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning everybody. It is a bright sunshiny day, and I came out and found my Fluids reduced well, but I have some problems. You see, we have some kind of stuck stain in our beakers. So, from years ago being in the restaurant business, and my parents being in the restaurant business, and my brother being in the restaurant business, I remember watching the waitresses when I was a kid clean coffee pots. And they cleaned them with salt. So, I have some rock salt that was either for ice cream or, I don't know, something. Any kind of rock salt will work. And I'm putting it in my flask here. And as you can see, it is cleaning it up. So I'm going to clean these up, and then we're going to play with that stuff. But I just wanted to show you that, because that's a little tip that a lot of times we try to, especially in something with a top like this, you can't get nothing down in there. But this is working pretty well. So I'm going to continue to clean this up, and then, like I said, we're going to start playing with some gold. So we'll be back at you in just a bit. Okay guys, there's our flask. Pretty much back to normal. Now I got to do this guy. But it's working good. So there's a little tip for you. Thank goodness I thought back to my childhood, or hadn't, or could actually remember back to my childhood. Alright, we'll be back in a bit. Well, there we go guys. Both of them cleaned back up. I guess them old waitresses knew what they were doing. Because I've had that happen before, and I'd scrub and I'd clean and clean and scrub, and figuring, like I said, getting inside of one of these is like, you know, forget about it. So even look at that big one over there. Nice and clean. So anyway, I'm going to filter. I'm filtering out everything that was in here because it looks brownish. Just like the stuff in the bottom of here. I'm going to filter that off, and then I'm going to burn this filter and make sure it's not gold. So anyway, that's what I'm doing right now. Now that I got these boogers cleaned up, I'm going to get to work on cleaning up them too. First thing we're going to do is get this thing mounted on a stand, this camera, and then we're going to do a stanness test, make sure we've dropped everything out of here, and then we're going to boil some water and clean up that gold. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay guys, we are ready to test these solutions. The first thing I'm going to do, this is some of our rinse water, but we do know it has some gold in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a little bit of this. Okay, get my rinse water. So we're going to get a little bit of that to make sure that our stanness is working right, which I have faith in because I love this stuff. I mean, I know it's I ain't going making my own with tin and whatever, but you know what, this stuff works great. Okay, so this is our fingers. This is our chip plates. The fingers, we have a little bit of color in that solution. The chip plates are absolutely crystal clear. So anyhow, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a drop in our rinse water that we know has some gold in it. And boom, a lot of gold. Put a drop in this and a drop in this. I'll actually hit them twice. We don't need to hit that one. We know it's got a lot of gold in it. So I'm seeing a little base metal in this one, but nothing drastic. So we know that there's no more gold in solution. I'm going to put this back on the warmer. And we're going to go ahead and get these rinsed and cleaned. I'm going to get a pot of water going. And get them rinsed out. And we're going to try and melt these today. Alright guys, so there was our rinse water solution. There is our this one, our fingers, and that is our chip backs. Real quick, I'm going to grab a sample of this from the processor, the rinse water. I just want to see how it does. Comparatively speaking. See how much gold we have in there. Not a lot. Not a lot in that rinse water. So that's going to work out well for checking, or for doing our doubling for our processors. Alright guys, let me clean this up and get back at you. My brain's kind of thinking at too many things at one time right now, and I can't think of what I want to say. But anyway, let me get this cleaned up so we can at least try and do a melt today. Okay guys, here's where we are. That beaker that is marked CT, that's the copper tops. I have already cleaned out the little beaker that the concentrate was in, and then that was our rinse water we mixed together. So I'm heating that up to denox it. I'm currently filtering our regular BGAs, the rinse water. I'm filtering it off. Then we're going to add it to that and denox it, and then we're going to filter them both again. Up on top here, I am currently rinsing our fingers and our processor caps. And I have decided, I think, I'm just going to warm this up. I have a new bucket, very close to a new bucket. I don't like doing it that way, but it's keep moving it and moving it and moving it. We're going to keep losing a little bit each time. So I might as well just go ahead and warm this up, denox it, and go ahead and drop it in the bucket, and then, because we're going to do it again anyway. So right there we're filtering. We're going to mix those two. When that's done, that is our already dropped gold, which we are going to melt, and we're going to denox the rest of this stuff and get it dropped. So I was just popping in to show you what's going on. I've been actually filtering and cleaning and doing this stuff for about the past 2.5 hours. So I didn't figure you'd want to sit here and watch that. Alright guys, when we get ready to start doing something else, we'll be back. Okay guys, we are still, as you can see, filtering. That is our copper top BGAs. You can see the difference after I'm filtering it, how cloudy. This has been denoxed with sulfamic acid, and it clouded up a little. So we are filtering it off again, and you can see how good it's coming. I'm currently still rinsing our first 2 drops. I'm going to rinse them a couple more times, and then I'm going to boil them in hydrochloric acid. This is our regular BGAs. I just got it filtered off. Then I'm going to denox it, see if it clouds up at all. If it clouds up, then we're going to filter it again and get ready to drop it. As soon as this one comes out, I'm either going to let these go till tomorrow and drop them tomorrow, or, well, I mean I'll drop them tonight, but I can't do anything with them till tomorrow. Or I'm going to go ahead and melt these. Just depends. I'm starting to get a little worn out. I've been out here all day. I know it doesn't seem like that much for you guys because it's just a pop in here and there, but it has been pretty much all day. So anyhow, I'm going to let this continue to filter off. When it's done, I'm going to go ahead and drop that one. If this one's warm enough by then, we'll denox it, and I'm going to rinse and boil those in hydrochloric. So we will be back.